Good afternoon. Welcome to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Kanata.
Thanks for being there today. We've got a great show for you. Somebody I've known for a while here in San Diego that's got an amazing track record in business. Ken Potashner's with us. He is a corporate director, angel investor. He is with Home Bay as a board member, I believe chairman of the board there. It's an unbelievable concept in the real estate industry. I guess you might call him a disruptor. You know, that's kind of a common term these days for people that are figuring out other ways to do things rather than the traditional way. But you're going to want to hear this story because it will probably affect something you do down the road in the real estate world. So we're going to be speaking with Ken in just a few minutes. Before we get to Ken, I want to remind you, what's today? Thursday?
Today's Thursday.
Thursday. So in 2 days, the Big Boys Toy Show coming up. You need to go there. Whether you're a big boy or not, you need to go to this toy show because it's going to be fun. It's at the Del Mar racetrack from noon to 6 p.m. Children under 17 are free with an adult. Wonder what they cost without an adult. Oh, you laugh. That was funny. I like that. Thank you for laughing.
A little bit. Do children go to the fair alone? I think that's
I don't know.
probably frowned
Probably
upon.
not.
I don't know. It's just a silly joke. Anyhow, $10 in advance, or you can pay. It says $10 in advance, but I think it costs $10 at the gate too. So I'm not sure why they say 10.
They want to sell as many tickets in
In
advance as
advance, right?
possible.
Yes.
So for all they know,
Well,
might be
it
more
is our
expensive.
boss that's putting it on, so we should. I guess I probably shouldn't say that on here, should I? Anyhow, they have cars, trucks, military displays. Great hits on the 105.7 Max FM stage. Got a shameless promotion in there, right? Mm-hmm. For one of our sister stations. Bikes, electronics, giant reptiles, virtual reality, and the Ninja obstacle course, which I'm so excited about. I don't know why. Well, actually, the giant reptiles sound like fun, too. So it's sponsored by Jerome's, and we want to see you there. We're going to be there, right?
Yes, we are.
We're going to be there?
I'll definitely
You're going to
be
go?
there.
Yeah. Cool.
I want to take video of you running through the ninja course.
Really?
And I'm posting it on Facebook, yeah.
Are you guys fans? Do you watch Ninja Warrior?
No.
It was a
Never seen
Japanese
it.
show, and then it turned into an American show. Now it's American Ninja Warrior. And it's obstacle courses, but it's really, really impressive athletes.
Is it like
And-
there was another show on where they did stuff
It's
like
like,
that.
think in terms of a huge
Kind of like
pinball,
American Gladiator
That's
from
it.
years
That's the
ago,
show
but
I'm
there's
thinking
nobody
about.
like shooting tennis balls at you to try to stop you.
It's just an
you
obstacle
against
course.
these. Yeah, and there's different levels of it. And Mount
Is it like the
Midoriya-
gauntlet from...
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, it is. I
but
know what you're
without
talking
the
about.
real knives, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a really neat show, so I think everybody nowadays wants to be a ninja. So that's probably why they call it a ninja, because the fifth season just started recently.
So do you think the Ninja obstacle course will be similar to that here?
I don't know. For all I know, it's an inflatable one for little kids, but I think it'd be fun if it
He'll
was
still
because
do
it's
it.
like a
I'm still
climbing
taking
wall.
video.
A lot of upper body strength needed for it.
And by the way, you are doing some really amazing things in your own life. You've gotten a place of your own now?
Yeah, I just closed on a house. as of
Congratulations.
today, or maybe tomorrow, technically.
Well, I guess you and your wife.
Right,
Yes.
and I'm just finding out about this company, Home Bay, that we're going to talk about today,
Yeah.
and I'm kicking myself, wishing it was in my life about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You know, that's a great segue to my word of the week.
Okay.
What's that?
Guy whining.
Well, I'm guy whining about
Yeah,
it then.
guy whining. Okay,
Why
so
didn't I know?
I invent words. Like last week, it was 11-teen.
Right.
Right? So 11-teen is somewhere between several and a dozen, but not quite either. So that's a new word you can use. Guy whining. Guy whining is the act of a male whining.
But
right?
you need permission.
It's imperative for men to request permission.
Absolutely.
You have to request permission if a female's in hearing range.
Okay.
However, the caveat to that is there is always a female in hearing range.
I'll have to ask for forgiveness then from Montana and our interns here for not asking
permission to guy wine. So all you guys out there listening, make sure if you're going to guy wine, think about it ahead of time. Ask permission. Then when you're told that's enough whining,
You're done.
you're done. You need to stop.
That's it.
So guy whining is the words of the week. That's all I got.
That's a good.
That's it.
That's a
That's
good
all I
start.
got. Yeah.
Good
Okay,
show.
we're out of here.
That's
Okay.
it. That's it for the whole introduction. Well, let's get to Ken Potashner. Ken, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Bob.
We're not going to guy wine today, are we?
No guy whining on my end.
No guy whining. So we met years ago. You were at the helm of a company called Maxwell,
Yes.
defense contractor. It was a defense contractor, right?
It started a defense contractor, and we turned it into a commercial technology company and had a good run with it.
And you did. And from there, you have done quite a bit between then and now, because that was, what, 20 years ago?
Long time ago.
Wow. It's lifetimes ago, isn't it?
Long time.
So tell us a little bit about Ken Potashner and your history in the world of business. What have you done?
Sure. So I've been involved with high growth, disruptive companies. Maxwell, as I mentioned, we turned from a defense play to a leading edge tech play in San Diego. Had a great run with that. Went back up to Silicon Valley, and we took a company called Sonic Blue and introduced the world's first MP3 player, which was the Rio.
Now, this is, okay, you say that like it's just a thing you did, but the world's first MP3 player. I mean, back 25 years ago, nobody knew what an MP3
That's
was.
exactly right.
Now
That's exactly
everybody
right.
knows what an MP3 is, but the world's first MP3 player, just without spending a lot of time on that, because I know we want to get to your current project, but where did the impetus from that come from? Why did you end up inventing or starting a company that does that?
Yeah, so we at that time Napster was coming forward. Kids
For
were,
the millennials, Napster was the prelude to
your first
file
pure
sharing.
sharing.
Yes.
So the ability to put music onto your computer, and several of us thought that it needed to be mobile. So we went up, we did the first MP3 player, disrupted the music industry. Ended up getting sued by everybody in the process.
Is this when the Beatles were popular?
A little after.
Little after that.
I remember that
But
time.
the whole concept of taking a sector, providing a new concept, a new valuation, a new value, and letting it run is something very attractive.
So the name of the first MP3 player was the Rio.
The Rio.
The Rio. How big was it?
It stored all of 9 songs.
So it stored 9 songs. Physically, was it the size of a transistor radio? Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember a transistor radio?
Call it 3 inches
young,
by
I do.
4 inches.
Okay.
Stored 9 songs.
9.
We could sell them for $199. They cost us $300 to build.
No.
Oh my
So
Let me think. You lost $100 a unit, but made it up in volume.
But this was .com days.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I
we-
remember when Napster came out, and we were all burning
Yes.
CDs at the time, and we had traveling Walkmans. So why
That's
did you
right.
think, hey,
Yes.
we can do this electronically?
Great question.
Especially because I know more than 9 songs could fit on a CD at the time.
That's right. So obviously it went from 9 to thousands and then tens of thousands. But it was, I think the key point is the sector was ripe for disruption. New technology came around that enabled it. We jumped on the opportunity. And from there, what I've done is I've been involved with several companies, predominantly in the technology space, that have those attributes to them. Disruptive, can scale rapidly, and that kind of brings us to today.
And we'll get back to that. Ken Potashner's with us. He's an angel investor, corporate director. He's got lots of projects under his belt. We're going to hear what he's doing now. Well, I want to catch up on other things before that. But you're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Canada.
Don't you dare go anywhere. We got a lot more when we get back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. We're broadcasting today from the ESET studios. ESET Internet Security. Do more. Want a podcast of the show? Of course you do. Go to ESPN1700.com. I'm Montana Smith.
I'm Aaron Canada.
And I'm Bob Ryan. Big Boys Toy Show coming up Saturday, 12 to 6 p.m., 12 noon to 6 p.m., obviously. $10 at the door. You can get it in advance online. Lots of fun stuff to do, not just for guys. It's really a family event, but they call it the Ultimate Guys Playground. I'm sure there's lots of stuff to do for women and kids, too. The virtual reality sounds like a lot of fun, and I really want to see what giant reptiles are. I have no... I mean, I know there's big snakes, all different kinds of things. I really am interested in what giant reptiles...
Those might be inflatable too, along with the ninja course.
You think?
Just saying, just be prepared. Just in case.
Inflatable reptile.
I would be totally disappointed. I really will. If I get there and it's an inflatable reptile, no. Okay.
We'll have to see.
Yes. So we have in studio with us Ken Potashner. Ken, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here, Bob.
Talked about your kind of, I don't know, it was your first foray into technology, but it was a company that developed the first MP3 player. This was in the late 90s, early 2000s?
That's correct.
Yeah. And this was after your run at Maxwell. So you had a stint there, then did the first MP3 player. So you could play 9 songs on the Rio, the Rio device, right? Why is that not still around? What happened? Did the Apple come out with the iPod and it kind of overshadowed it? Or?
Yeah, we evolved the product into several different generations, each providing more capacity, more value and such, and ultimately it made sense to go ahead and transact with the company. So we sold off the assets of that company.
And what have you seen in that industry? I mean, Apple kind of dominated it with the iPod for a while, right? And
That's
now
correct.
it's phones have everything on them, right?
It's commoditized. Yeah, the music storage has commoditized.
So the whole world has changed in that industry.
Very much so.
Once you did that transaction and sold the assets off, where did you go next?
Yep. So from there, I put my focus into board of directors work and personal investing. So I've been on the board of.
Wait, you can actually have a career as a board of directors work? I mean, that's a job.
It's a job.
I want to apply for that job because that
a
sounds
job.
like a fun job, right?
Yeah. So I think I've done on the order of a dozen public boards over the years, and I make investments in companies that I work with often. And the Homebase story actually evolved in that sense. So I was on the board of directors of a predecessor company called Zerpal that the founders Zerpal.
It's not a consumer company, I take it. I've never heard that.
Data analytics company in the real estate space.
Okay, so it's not a consumer, but it's an interesting name, Zerpal.
It's an interesting name and provided significant value to real estate agents,
Right.
ironically, and rapid growth. And the two brothers, Tom and Ryan Owen, came one day with an idea that we thought was going to be extremely larger than the principal company Zerpal.
So you were working as a board member of different boards of different companies.
Correct.
Do you have to apply to do that, or is that something? Do you have to be asked to be on the board? I'm curious.
Well, you have to put in 100-hour weeks for decades to build the
to get stock
the
options.
resume to
But
get
at that
approached.
point, are companies approaching you
Companies
saying, "Hey,
approach.
okay, so
Yeah,
you were
companies
asked
approach.
to be on with these number of companies"?
That's correct.
Well, that's the problem with my career in board because nobody's ever asked me. Oh well, let's move on. I'll do something different. Why Zerpal? Why you said there was something there that you saw, but I'm guessing you had a lot of opportunities being on the boards of different companies. You probably saw things come and go. Why that one?
Yeah, so again, Zerpal presented applying data in a very, very interesting way that could improve the efficacy, the efficiency to the real estate sector. So that looked like it could be something that could grow very quickly.
What was inefficient that this could make more efficient?
The use of data. Right, to let an agent know that you need to go touch this customer at this point, that there's, just moving an agent along their process in terms of touch points, in terms of follow-up, in terms of communication.
Oddly, the data made the agent more human.
That's exactly right.
Really? That's
exactly
interesting.
Right. But what became really compelling is the two guys who set off to improve agent efficiency had a much bigger idea, which is, we could automate the entirety of the process and change the entire value proposition. So the premise for HomeBay operates around the question of, does a real estate agent deserve to get 6% of your home's value when you sell that house?
So let's stop and talk about that for 1 second, because that's been the model for as long as I can remember.
That's exactly right.
And I don't know how long before I remember it was the model, but I'm guessing it's been decades and decades where the transaction's been handled by one real estate agent representing both the buyer and the seller, or two that split the 6%, one representing the buyer, the other the seller.
Right.
So if you want to sell your home, you call up an agent. They listed it on the multiple listing service, which I think was mostly common back in the day. Still is. And they marketed your home for you.
Correct.
They did open houses where they drew people to it, put balloons out, put signs up, advertised it locally, promoted it among their buyers, and they helped you sell your home. And then you showed up and signed the paperwork and then moved on.
Right.
And then on the buyer side, it was.
But you're right. So
okay, go ahead and talk about the seller side.
So that was the historical model. Okay, but what's changed dramatically is the consumer behavior over the time, the interaction that the consumer takes going to Zillow to see what their home's worth, being able to use the internet to get data to find out through their neighborhood what the transactions are happening.
So before the internet, somebody really didn't know what their home was worth.
Yeah,
they relied on the agent to tell them what they could sell it for?
Yeah, you were operating with a void of information, a void of data.
Is MLS, is that a private company that collects
Multiple
that data?
listing service, yeah.
Yeah. So the MLS is a means by which agents were able to keep other companies out of having access to that
Right,
customer
it sounds
base,
very
right?
captive.
But there were regulatory changes several years back that opened up access to that. So something as disruptive as we're doing would have been very difficult to do several years ago.
Back when only realtors had access to
regulations now have opened that up. But let me go back to Bob, does 6% sound like
Yes.
a big number to
It does
give
if you've
for your
got $1
house?
million home. Now
Okay.
you're talking $60,000 to
That's
sell
right.
$1 million house, which in Southern California, that's not
It's
uncommon.
every other house on the block,
That's
or
exactly
in every
right.
house in specific neighborhoods. I
That's
guess I should
exactly
say.
right. So what we believe is that there's a huge disparity between the value being provided by a real estate agent today and that 6% fee. Regardless of the splitting that occurs between a buyer agent and a seller agent, there's just a huge disparity in today's information world with that value being provided. The second thing that's very interesting is the National Association for Realtors has surveyed customers, and more than half of sellers are dissatisfied at the end of the process with their agent, that they would not recommend that agent to a friend or family.
Do we know why?
And it's a myriad of reasons, but the biggest one is responsiveness. That I couldn't get a hold of my agent when I needed to get a hold of my agent.
What's interesting to me is somebody that wants to sell their home, they want the best real estate agent they can find to help them with it. So they find somebody that's done 1,000 transactions,
Right.
and they hire them to do it, but the person's got 1,000.
They're too busy.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to this in just one second. Ken Potashner's with us, corporate director, angel investor at the helm of Home Bay, on the board of directors and chairman. You're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Canada.
And we'll be right back to talk about why you might want to look at Home Bay for your home sale. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. You're listening to us on ESPN 1700, but did you know you could watch us too? Watch us on Facebook, visit our BisTalk Radio page, share your comments, ask your questions, and of course, Bob always likes your likes. And share too. I'm Montana Smith.
I'm Aaron Canada.
Well, you had to get that in, right?
I did. I did.
I'm always perplexed by the fact that I'm on the radio asking people to like me. I really never really, well, I guess I've cared, but not that much whether somebody likes me, and now I'm asking everybody to like me.
Maybe you're a millennial. And you just didn't know
I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
So much for no reincarnation. I guess I'm a millennial already.
Young at heart.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, you've said you're a little bit older than me, at least.
A little bit.
I would say you know quite a bit more about technology than me, and that's half of
an
what it means
interesting
to be a
point, yes.
millennial, is growing up with the technology and just having it be ingrained in
It
who you
is
are.
kind of funny hanging around millennials that I know way more about technology than they do because I actually built computers.
Mm-hmm.
I put them together. I know how everything goes, and I wrote software. You guys just use it. Are you a millennial?
I am
top
a
end of it.
millennial. I think 2-3 years before me, 82 was the beginning of millennials, or 80. And so I'm definitely a millennial. I was way into technology when I was young, kind of fell out of it, and I'm playing catch up.
But
now.
your technology way into is the use of it.
No,
Did you
people
actually
I
build
knew,
it
yeah,
and
we
create?
coded.
Oh, you
Everybody I
did?
knew was
Okay.
doing coding and writing, architecting and all of that. So a lot of my friends knew that, and I assumed everybody born after me would know how to do that, and they'd just be born. And then the technology got so good, they didn't have to
It's
learn
like
it.
somebody driving a car. You don't have to be a mechanic today
Yeah,
to drive a
that's
car, but
exactly
back in
right.
the last century, you did, right?
Yeah.
You had to know how to do things. Huh. Speaking of knowing how to do things, Ken Potashner's here with us. Ken, thanks for being here.
Thanks,
you know
Bob.
how to do a lot of things.
And plenty I don't know how to do.
You have been in technology for a very long time, involved in different companies. You took Maxwell from a defense contractor to a tech company, and then got involved in the first MP3 player business. And then you've done a lot of other things on boards and had a great career there. Found a company that was involved in the data of real estate transactions. Was Zerpel, right, is the name of it?
Correct.
Couple of brothers had started it, and were you asked to be on that board? Is that how you met them, or were you on another board and
I was
saw
asked
them?
to be on that board.
Okay, so you were asked to be on the board. Just a quick question, because I want to get back to the whole disruption and what
Right.
you saw to change. But when you were on a board and you were asked to be on the board of Zirpal, how was that transition when you first showed up there and got the data and got the information on the company? You're making a decision as to whether you want to serve on the board or not. Was there a point in time when you went, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and you had a revelation? Or did it occur over time where you gathered data and it was gradual, and then you went, you know what? I think there's something here. How does that occur for you?
So you join a board because
Right.
you believe in the company. Our time is precious. All of our times are precious. So you make a decision that I want to help this company. I want to commit my time to it, based on your belief in the people that are running the company, based on the belief in the opportunity. And then you make a little bit of a leap of faith, and that what you were told is as is, and you begin building an experience.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned people first, that you believe in the people, and then you mentioned the technology.
Yeah, the people. I've seen tremendous and a great number of situations where phenomenal technology and a team that couldn't execute on it. So
you hear that a lot from angels and VC companies, right? It's the individuals that you're investing.
You're betting on the horse, betting on the jockey as well as the horse.
Right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But this one, you had mentioned before we went on there that this one you actually rolled up your sleeves on. You actually got involved in it. What was the deciding factor for that?
So Zirpal, I'd say it was more of a traditional board relationship. When we launched HomeBay, when the brothers launched HomeBay, that's the one that I said, okay, I don't want to be on the sidelines giving advice. I want to have my sleeves rolled up here. I want to invest. So I've invested. I've put friends into the company from an investment view. I've put associates into.
I got $10 here. Is it too late?
Never too late for you, Bob. The valuation's up a tad, but
I would imagine so. $10 doesn't buy what it used to with Zirpal, right?
So, but the premise of designing a company that's going to dramatically improve the customer experience in a sector that there's a huge disconnect between the value being provided by a real estate agent and the value and the cost they're charging.
Had you already thought about that before HomeBay came around? I mean, had you looked at real estate transactions and thought, wow, 6%'s a lot of money for a $3 million home, and it's the same work for $100,000. Had you already gotten there in your own thinking, or was this new information?
I've been a victim.
Okay. So you sold homes and had that thought then, right?
Of paying too much for the value that I received. And by the way, I mean, I've had very few people challenge the premise that, I didn't get 6% of value. I mean, so often with a disruptive company, you have to sell the proposition. There's not this intuitive buy-in that, that makes
But this one's
sense.
kind of already there.
This one resonates. People realize I'm not getting 6%
So
of
now
value.
it makes sense why you roll up your sleeves. Because you look at this and it's just too obvious, makes too much sense, and nobody's done it yet. Nobody's figured it out yet.
This makes sense, and the question is, so what can you do about it? Can you come up with a better solution that can enhance the customer experience?
Just because there's a problem doesn't mean there's a solution.
That's right. So
by the way, coin that one. That was good. I just write that down.
Right next to whining. Right. So the design parameters were design a company that can dramatically enhance the customer experience, get superior results. So results in the context of get a seller a higher price for their home, have their house be in the market for less number of days, and then have a responsiveness that a seller just feels dramatically good about, and do that at a significant cost savings.
Now, what's interesting to me is you just said a whole lot of things in a quick sentence there of value improvement to a seller or maybe a buyer, but we're really focused on the seller right now, right?
I'm going to, later on, we also have introduced the buyer platform as well.
So right now we're talking about the seller, but you said a whole bunch of things, and all of those things that you're saying sound like human intervention would be the thing that improves it. Like days on the market. You hire a good agent, they market it better, which would mean it would move faster. Getting a higher price, the staging, the agent bringing in buyers and convincing them that the house is worth that. So what you're telling me is technology has been able to advance where humans haven't been able to, or they weren't doing it for the value.
That's correct. So for instance, the very start of our process. So in a traditional real estate setting, you want to sell your house. An agent's going to come to you. You have in your mind what your house is worth. That agent begins telling you, no, it's not worth that much, Bob. right? Your motivations aren't
Because every
aligned.
seller thinks their house is worth more
You
than
want
it
to get
really is,
maximum dollars for your house.
Right.
The agent needs to get a transaction. Right. So you have this built-in tension that you're not aligned. What HomeBay does is we start off by providing a bunch of analytics to a bunch of data, saying here's what homes are going for in your neighborhood. Here's things to consider from a square footage perspective. Here's comparables. So we're providing a seller with a bunch of data, a substantial amount of data. The seller is making the decision.
Let me stop you there because I want to hear the rest of this. This is probably the crux or core of what HomeBay is all about, is getting this done. You're listening to BisTalk. Ken Potashner's with us. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Kanata.
We're going to be right back. This information coming up is really good. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. You're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our engineer, Jeff Bilodeau, our music by Derek Audette, our interns, Sarah, Angelia, Deidre, and Chrissy. And I'm Montana Smith.
I'm Aaron Kanata.
And I'm Bob Ryan. Thanks for being there with us. Ken Potashner's here. He has a great history in the tech business. Ken, thanks for being here today.
Pleasure to be here.
We were right on kind of, I think, the core of the value proposition of HomeBay and what you developed there. To summarize, the idea is that 6% charge for transacting a home sale is more money than people thought the value being provided was.
Correct.
So the company that you are involved in actually creates a different value proposition for them?
Yes, very much so. And let me start with a number, tens of thousands.
Okay.
So we're going to save customers in the Southern California market tens of thousands of
Now,
dollars.
even to rich people, tens of thousands is a
by the way,
number
we're doing
that's big.
business in all of California, all of Florida now. But the degree of savings, that's the way to think of this. This is not,
Okay.
hey, we're going to save you a few dollars. We're going to save you tens of thousands of
That's
dollars.
a big number for anybody.
It's a big number. And we're going to do that while substantially increasing the satisfaction level you're going to get, because we're going to provide you with a lot of data so you're making good decisions. We're going to provide you with highly skilled real estate agents, always available to you, agents that have done hundreds of deals, working in collaboration with technology that's making every decision we get data-based.
So it
right?
sounds like historically agents and brokers didn't necessarily have a skill set that was the most amazing thing that you were paying for. It was information that you didn't have access to. They had a monopoly on this information, and now because of technology, the information is being made available to the seller so they can make comparisons on their own.
In a form that they can understand,
In a form that
too.
they can understand,
But
right?
much more so. So we're taking, so that everything you said is correct, but we're taking that information and applying analytics to it.
Oh.
Right?
Which
So we're
makes it more understandable and useful then.
Yeah. So we're able, for instance, to say, gee, your house was for sale for $750,000. You got an offer for $650,000. If you counter at $700,000, there's a 58% likelihood that the buyer will accept that offer, right?
So it's data on Star Trek, the one that calculates and tells you what the odds are of everything going to happen.
Yeah, with an agent, a highly sophisticated,
With the
capable
human
agent
touch.
back to it, right? So we've blended technology with superstar agents.
So you didn't take anything away, but you added a lot of information to the home seller.
What we did take away is cost.
Okay.
Right.
Good point.
So we've deployed technology in a way that we've replaced a lot of human researching, cranking, interaction. We've now used a database that gets a lot of that work done, and therefore we're able to provide a significant savings.
Now, you said the savings is on the commission, but what I'm hearing you say as well is the data could create a better environment to get a better price for the home as well.
The
so
data,
it could work both ways.
That's exactly right. So we deliver a higher level of performance. As I said, the price you'll get for your home, the time that it's on the market for, and we get a higher level of responsiveness.
So when you
with the
say
purchase
tens of
home.
thousands of dollars, it's not a joke.
It's tens
That's
of thousands
a
of
for
dollars.
real number that goes in.
It's a for real number, and on the buy side as well, I referenced that we have a buy side platform as well, that traditionally a buyer will go out, they'll identify a house, they'll give cash, they'll get a house. What we do is we will rebate a significant portion of the commission that an agent would get back to the buyer. So you're not only getting your house that you paid for, but you're getting a commission rebate back from us, which is a very significant. Also, think of that in the context of tens of thousands of dollars.
So as a buyer, you might actually have more buying power then, because money that was initially going to commission, you can now put toward the purchase price of the home. So you might pay a little bit more than you would have otherwise, but ultimately end up paying less.
Well, you're not going to pay more, because what happens is, built into the transaction, the seller is committed not only to pay the sell side broker commission, but also the buyer's commission as well. So we are becoming that buyer, and we're taking the commission that is contractually built in and rebating significant parts of that back to the buyer.
So you've been able to bring efficiencies to the transaction that gives the value to the buyer and the seller, but eliminates it from the real estate agent. That's where the additional dollars are coming from? Or are we creating value that didn't exist before?
No, we're operating with a dramatically reduced cost structure through the deployment of technology, and we're passing that savings on to the consumer.
But outside of the commission,
customer
what other
experience,
costs are being reduced?
No, the entire cost to a home seller is the commission they're paying to an agent. So on the model we discussed before, so in a 6% transaction, a seller's agent would get 3%, a buyer's agent would get 3%. We did bring that 3% to a number less than 1.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's huge then. We hadn't really actually talked about what the actual number on the commission is, but that's a big reduction.
That's correct. Well, the number, just to put it out there, is we offer a flat fee of $3,500 per transaction.
No matter what the cost of the home.
That's correct. In some markets, we'll offer a lower price point on lower price point homes, but doing the math on simply we'll do the $750,000 home before that I said, right? So you can think of in the context of more than $20,000 on the buy side commission, another $20,000 on the sell side commission, and we're taking that $20,000 number down to $3,500.
So the seller gets more money in their pocket from the sale.
Absolutely.
And
correct.
the buyer gets a rebate from the money they put.
Buyers coming through us will get a rebate if we're on both ends of the deal. We're
that's right.
shipping
You'd have
money
to have
out
both ends of
ways,
right? Okay.
If a buyer approaches us, we're going to rebate half of our commission back to them, money they wouldn't have seen otherwise. If a seller approaches us, we'll sell the house for $3,500.
Before we went live, you gave some numbers about how long it typically takes to sell a house from an agent's perspective, how much work they put in versus using your technology. Can you recap those for the audience?
Yeah, so a traditional brokerage consumes on the order of 50 to 55 hours of agent time to do all the back-end office stuff.
That's a number
all the
I had no idea that was,
of selling a house. Through our technology, we're spending on the order of an hour and a half on the processing
55 hours down to an hour and a half.
Down to an hour and a half. The hour and a half that we do spend is direct interaction with the home seller, helping them to interpret the data, being always accessible. So this is live time.
Right.
Addition, we have back end at any point in time that somebody who needs to talk to an agent's available. We've got a assigned primary agent. We've got a team. Think of us in the context of a 24/7 operation. You're not trying to chase down your agent. So higher responsiveness, extremely talented people backed up with incredible technology.
You know, it seems to me if you go into any industry and bring a 10% efficiency to it, you've added a lot of value. I mean, 10% efficiency is a big deal for most industries. You're talking about bringing an 80, 90% efficiency.
That's correct.
Wow.
I wouldn't say 80, 90, I'd say 60, 70.
Okay, I did the math in my head really quick.
But it's not 10%, right?
But that's a lot. I mean, that's a big deal. That's got to be very personally fulfilling to you when you bring that much value.
Technology has enabled a different value proposition, and we're going to leverage that.
We're going to talk. Wow, this is going really fast. We're going to talk more with Ken Potashner when we get back about HomeBay and what they're doing that probably will affect you at some point in your life or somebody you know. You're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Kanata.
We'll be right back, folks.
Welcome back. You're listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. We're broadcasting from the ESET studios. ESET Internet Security, do more. Get a podcast of today's show and any of our previous shows. Now we're talking. Go to ESPN1700.com. I'm Montana Smith.
I'm Aaron Kanata.
I'm Bob Ryan, along with Ken Potashner. We're here talking about a company called HomeBay. HomeBay.com is the website, correct?
Yes,
Ken?
it is. Thank you.
You're at the helm of the company, chairman of the board, and obviously have a vested interest in it. You're also an investor in the company.
I believe in this company.
You do. And if you've just joined us, it is a new technology company that's bringing significant value to both the buyer and the seller in a home transaction, reducing the cost significantly, at the same time increasing the service and the value to both the buyer and the seller. Is that kind of a summary of it?
That's exactly correct.
Whoa, I got it right the first time through. I like that.
And also, Bob, let me just say that I have nothing against real estate agents, that I think real estate agents are wonderful people, just like taxi drivers are wonderful people, but I don't drive in taxis anymore. I take Uber.
Uber, right.
I get a better,
the world is changing.
I get a better value proposition. I get a higher level of service, technology.
100 years ago, you could have loved a buggy whip manufacturer,
Right.
but they need to find something different to do with their manufacturing.
So this is like that. Technology has enabled a new solution. We're the new solution.
The only thing I could, and I don't want to put a damper on that, but for the Uber, I see a lot of people who were cab drivers that are now driving Uber, and there's more cars on the road because ride sharing is just exploding. The people hailing cabs, I guess, or hailing an Uber. This sounds like there are going to be significantly less real estate agents if this model were implemented, doing a lot more volume of homes. If they go from spending 50 to 60 hours per home to 1.5, they can handle a lot more transactions per
Yeah,
agent.
I think that's correct. But just as a footnote for San Diego, so I'm looking to hire about 50 real estate agents.
That was going to be
there you go.
question.
So the ones that
so
are
those who want to be progressive, please come join us. We need a lot of folks.
So can they get to you through homebay.com?
Absolutely.
If they're looking to get hired on?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's really nice. Congratulations on that. So you are expanding the personnel that you're bringing on to run HomeBay.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're a couple a day.
Are you guys headquartered here in San Diego?
We're headquarters in San Diego. We have folks spread out through different locations. Given that we've just started in Florida, we're building a team in Florida. I mentioned that we're going to expand to several other states, but San Diego is our headquarters.
How are you choosing the states that you? I'm assuming you're going to be nationwide at some point in time, right?
We will be
But
nationwide.
you're rolling out based on what criteria?
Yeah, so one, we want to do a phenomenal job with anything we touch, so we're scaling based within our capabilities of offering that superior customer experience. We're choosing states based on the velocity that homes move, based on the value of the homes, based on the demographics.
My guess is South Dakota has quite a few fewer transactions than, say, California.
There's very good people that live in South Dakota.
But there's only 300,000 of them, right?
But they're not on the A-list of states for rolling out, but we will be there.
Yeah, eventually.
Nationwide, eventually. Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
So we were talking about the cost savings to the transaction, which ultimately ends up in the pockets of the seller and the buyer, and also the efficiencies you bring to the transaction. How does that work out? Because you're talking about bringing 6% down to around 1%. That's a huge number in terms of how does that manifest itself in the transaction?
Right. So the economics that one should think about is that 6% is split between a sell-side agent, 3%, and a buy-side agent, 3%. We're taking that sell-side fee down to a flat fee of $3,500. We're only taking 10% of that $3,500, so $350 up front. The remaining only when you sell your house, so the financial risk is minimal. We are sending immediately to your house a photographer because the quality of the pictures is paramount to selling your house.
Good point.
We pay for that photographer. We're going
Out of the $350
we're paying for the photographer.
Okay.
We're putting a beautiful sign in front of the house. We're marketing the house broadly. You've received here's your assigned agent who sold hundreds of homes. So this is all about quality, quality, quality. This is not a discount brokerage. This is not a for sale by owner. We're using technology to get you a better outcome.
When you say that the only risk that the home seller has is the $350, how does that even go at risk? Is it if they pay you and then they back out of the transaction down the road, it's non-refundable?
That's correct.
Okay.
We look for a
But that's if they back out of the transaction.
If they back out of the transaction, exactly right.
Which hopefully they won't because they understand what they're doing.
We're not having people back out of the transaction.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the NPS scores is a way to measure customer satisfaction. We're achieving
NPS?
So we have customers rate our service
Okay,
after
it's a
each
rating.
transaction.
Okay.
And we're off the charts positive.
Do you have a way of comparing homes sold versus what it might have sold for had they not used your service?
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so we have two sets of data that we're currently looking at. So one is exactly what you just said. What are we getting relative to the ask price? So what is the sell price vis-a-vis the ask price? Against real estate agents at large, and then we're also looking at ourselves versus Redfin. So Redfin is out there, they're being aggressive, they're doing a lot of things right. We think of ourselves as Redfin 10X, Redfin 2.0, Redfin on turbocharged, and we're much we're shooting for a higher level of value. We're providing a higher degree of responsiveness, and our cost is much lower than Redfin. So we are getting well beyond the ask price on average when we close houses. We are. I'm not going to throw numbers around lightly. But we exceed significantly what a traditional broker would get in terms of vis-a-vis ask price, and we're significantly up on Redfin as well. We're also substantially better than both in terms of days on market, which is another key criteria. That
you're chairman of the board.
I'm chairman of the board.
Do you are you a corporate officer? Do you actually work at the company? So are you?
Absolutely.
You do, really?
Yep.
So do you have interaction with some of your customers? Have you actually spoken with some of the buyers and the sellers that use HomeBay?
All the time.
They
You
gave
do?
you a cubicle?
Yeah. As a matter, I have a cubicle.
You do, really?
Not only do I have a cubicle, I have a office where I've got 6 of us co-located. So we go from cubicles.
Talk
to
about
the
rolling up your
office.
sleeves and
We're listening to customer calls. We're doing all the stuff. And the thing I like a ton is we've actually had, and this is not a solicitation for investment because that's not what we're doing, but we have had customers ask to, and in some cases, invest in the company.
I told you I got $5.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Wait, it's gone from 10 down to 5.
Oh, it was 10 earlier. Yeah, okay, I'm discounting it now.
So I mean, in the strongest sense, we're getting advocates.
Yeah.
For what we're doing, and it's
nice when your customers think enough of the service they got to want to put money into the company. I mean, that's neat.
But what's most important for us is customers sharing their experiences, right? So we're on Nextdoor in San Diego. We're gonna we're on Nextdoor in many communities, and we're starting now to see this viral. Hey, guess what? I just sold a house, or I just bought a house through HomeBay.
On Nextdoor, Montana. That's like one of you. You spend a lot of time on Nextdoor.
Nextdoor as well.
I love that app.
Very good tool.
Yes.
But we're beginning to get that viral dynamic. People are beginning to share their experiences, and people get pretty excited when they just.
Is HomeBay going to come out with an app for the phone sometime?
Yeah. So right now we're focused.
Actually, let me ask you to hold that. Wow, this is going too fast. Ken Potashner's with us. We're going to be right back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Canada.
One more segment with lots of information. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Welcome back. You're listening to BizTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. Tomorrow in studio with us is a gentleman by the name of Mitch Thrower. He is an entrepreneur, a financier, an author, and a 22-time Ironman triathlete. Yes, you heard right, 22 times. He also has a company called Events.com. We look forward to seeing him in the studio. My name is Montana Smith.
I'm Aaron Canada.
And I'm Bob Ryan. Mitch Thrower was with us years and years ago. Ken Potashner is with us, by the way. Back, I think, about the time you were with us, he started a company called RaceGate. Wow, has he done kind of your track with him, right?
Mitch is the reason Ken's back on the air with us.
Oh, cool.
He sent me...
Mitch is a friend. Mitch also was one of the co-founders at Active Networks, which had a great exit, and he's doing something extremely big right now called Events.com that I'm sure he'll tell the story tomorrow, but great guy.
Very exciting. Your story, HomeBay, the one that you're currently working with and you've rolled up your sleeves and gotten involved with, there's not often that I hear stories that bring the value to the table that you're talking about here. I mean, this is really a good story, but you already know that. I mean, you wouldn't be there doing what you're doing. It just seems like every aspect of this has a good element to it. Even the part where maybe the people that you're displacing in the community can now come to work for HomeBay.
Yeah, very much so. So we will be a San Diego successful growth story. I predict Home Bay will be the fastest growing company in San Diego next year. So let me go out there.
Can we make it a unicorn? Because we need unicorns here, right?
Would love to be a unicorn.
And TechCrunch just rated you the number 5 company to disrupt the real estate industry too, correct?
Yeah, we're being thrown around with some very significant names, and that's a bit scary because it sets expectations. But the good news is the people that we've on board have very high expectations. So this is a very big opportunity.
It's hard to manage expectations when you get in that ilk, right? I mean, when you're looked at like that, it's everybody's doing like, whoa, this is going to be big, right?
Yeah, this is. I mean, as we talked before, this is an intuitive opportunity. We have the solution. Now, for us, it's about execution.
So this model that you've now rolled up your sleeves to work with, has it manifested itself in the way you envisioned when you first saw it? Or is it a lot different today than what you thought when you first got involved?
Yeah. So for me, the key is going to be how the traditional brokerages react. Right?
The big names in the industry,
Yeah, the big names in the industry. Do they try to kill this in some form or fashion? Do they look to partner with us? We have.
Have you seen any initial signs, like early response to it?
I mean, the initial. So I have reached out to CEOs of some of the major companies. They take my calls,
really?
which is a very good thing. And I think they have clarity in terms of what's possible through what we're doing. And I'd like to think that we end up with significant partnerships, but it's going to be very complicated.
Do you think you can work out a partnership with some of the national firms? Because they're pretty well entrenched in the model that's going on right now.
So I think we'll see some that will build walls and dig moats. I think you'll see others.
Like Kodak with a digital camera, which is kind of a shame, right?
Exactly. I think you'll see others that say, gee, we need to be part of this disruption ourselves. We can't be a victim ourselves to this. So you'll see some degrees of collaboration. I think you'll see some folks limp
That would have been like Yellow Cab turning into Uber, right?
Exactly.
That's a hard one, though, isn't it?
So I think there'll be a spectrum of behaviors.
I mean, there's some real big pockets out there. Berkshire bought out, I forget the name of them, but Berkshire is one of the big players in the real estate market right now, and they're not lacking for any sort of money. So
that's right. So you'll see tremendous, I mean, this will absolutely require tremendous investment on many companies' parts to stay on the technology evolution chain. And there'll be make-buy decisions. Do we try to do it ourselves? Do we partner? Do we acquire? So all those things are yet to...
Make-buy decision. That's a term that I don't hear often. So you're saying that the people that run these companies are having a choice between making it themselves or acquiring companies that are doing it.
Or partnering.
Yeah, or partnering.
Exactly right. But I don't think anybody could just stand back and say, we're going to circle the wagons around 6% for the next 10 years. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's going to be, we need to change. We can't or not compete, right? So what the flavor of that change is will dictate what happens next.
So what's on Ken Potashner's plate right now? I mean, it seems like when you're involved in a relatively new venture like this with so many possibilities, it seems like it could be like drinking out of a fire hose from time to time.
Yeah, so what's on my plate is Home Bay, and then
more Home Bay.
I have an understanding wife, so my smoking hot wife, Teresa, is fourth.
That nice work in. I like that one. That's really good to get in there.
So it's about Home Bay.
It's about Home Bay. And have you even considered what the exit's going to be for this, or is this something that you're all in? And it doesn't really matter what the strategy is down the road?
Yeah, so I actually think it's troubling when you hear young companies say, here's our exit strategy, we're going to IPO, we're going to
It's like
sell.
Going into a marriage with a divorce plan.
Right, so we're building something that we think is going to be incredibly valuable, but we'll be responsible enough that should somebody put an irrationally exuberant offer in front of us, we'll assess it. But we're building a great company. That's there's no exit thinking in that.
That's an interesting thought, because we do talk to a lot of people that when they start something, they already know what their exit's going to be. It's going to be an IPO, a sale. They're going to stay with it till they die. Well, that's not an exit strategy. Well, dying is an exit strategy, isn't it? Never mind. So you're not even thinking like that right now. You're building this for whatever comes your way.
Yeah, we're building it. We're building it profitably. So today we're profitable on a per transaction basis, even though I mentioned we're operating in a fashion of giving tremendous savings back to the customers, sellers, and buyers. And this scales exponentially, so we've got lots of choices.
My guess is if you're taking a company like Home Bay, you're looking at a national presence, it's going to require a significant amount of capital beyond what you can do organically. So I'm making that assumption. If that assumption is real, do you see enough investment capital available to companies like Home Bay right now, or is there a scarcity of capital? What are you seeing in the world?
Yeah, so I was in Silicon Valley last week. There is an abundance of capital available for good ideas.
That's good news.
And I think real estate tech is becoming a very good idea. Redfin went public a few weeks ago, $1 billion valuation, ran to $2 billion. A name I won't give you, but a big traditional real estate company announced that they're going to spend $1 billion trying to avoid getting disrupted, right? So everyone realizes there's lots of big dollars that need to be assigned to this sector.
Have you yet had the opportunity to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange?
I've rung the bell 3 times.
Have you really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that has got to be one of the funnest things in the world to do.
So ringing the bell is actually pushing a button.
Oh, it is. You don't actually. I thought you actually got to ring the bell.
NASDAQ, you're pushing a button.
Oh,
That makes sense for the NASDAQ.
yeah. Well, technology takes away some fun things because I thought that was kind of cool to actually ring the bell, right? So you've done that already, and that's.
I have several times.
Thinking that maybe you'll do it again someday, maybe with Home Bay, maybe with another company, right?
Going to build a great company here. We'll see where it takes us.
The opportunities that you have available right now in front of you look amazing. I want to wish you good luck with that. One more time, you are looking to hire people right now, though. I mean, you're looking to hire real estate professionals.
I interviewed two people this morning. I spend part of each and every one of my days interviewing people. We're growing quickly.
Here in San Diego.
Send your resumes, San Diego.
And that you can reach through Home Bay.
Homebay.com.
Homebay.com. Good luck with this. I wish you all the success. We want to see Home Bay but it would be nice if you guys were a unicorn here in San Diego. We need those. I think it would be a real good benefit to our economy here.
I appreciate that.
Good luck with this as you move forward. And any new ideas you come up with, I still got my $10.
Get it on the $10. Thank you.
Yes, get it on the ground floor. Don't forget, folks, we have coming up Saturday, which is 2 days. The Big Boys Toy Show. Want to remind you that you need to be there because we're going to be there. The Guys Playground, the ultimate Guys Playground, $10 online, $10 at the door. Bring your family, have fun. You've been listening to BisTalk, Believing is Seeing Talk Radio. I'm Bob Ryan.
I'm Montana Smith.
And I'm Aaron Kanata.
And don't forget, guys, ask permission if you're going to guy wine. Go have a great and prosperous day. Bye-bye, folks.